Hey there, pirates. Welcome aboard the Anime No Me channel. Why hasn't Blackbeard gone after Luffy until now? You're going to find out in today's video, and you'll discover if, at this moment, he fears Luffy and the Straw Hats. You're going to find out right now. I hope for your support to help our crew win, and to do so, you just need to click the thumbs up button, leave a like, and subscribe to the channel. By doing this, you will win an incredible devil fruit, so just comment which fruit you want. Since the world stopped to watch that boy with the straw hat cross the war, since the name Monkey D. Luffy was shouted across the seas and pierced the rooftops of the world like an arrow shot into the horizon of the future, it was certain that the gears would start turning. And perhaps, amidst all of this, the question that few dared to ask is, why didn't Blackbeard, of all people, the most meticulous, the most ambitious, the one who spent his life waiting for the right fruit, the right moment, the exact breach, go after the greatest symbol of the next era, even knowing where he was? Maybe he had the opportunity, maybe he even had the desire, but still, he didn't go. Luffy was a fresh name after Marineford, a name still stained with losses, a name that didn't have the weight of an army or a fleet, but carried something much more dangerous, willpower. And that will had been passed down not only by Ace, but by Roger, by Rayleigh, by Garp, by Shanks. And everyone who has eyes in One Piece knows how to recognize that kind of flame. I think Blackbeard saw that flame, yes, and maybe he felt its heat, and maybe he backed off not out of physical fear, but because he knew that this kind of fire, if ignited too soon, turns into a wildfire. In chapter 581, when Luffy sent that secret message to his crew in the newspaper with the 3D2Y bandaged on his arm, it was possible to understand that not only was he training, but the whole world was also preparing for his return. And if the world knew, Blackbeard knew too. And even then, he didn't move. What does that say about him? Maybe he knows something that few others do, that some seeds, if harvested too soon, don't bloom, but explode. Blackbeard spent years in the shadows, waiting for the Yami Yami no Mi. He learned with time, with silence, with control, and maybe he knows that the real move is not to intercept a threat when it's still growing, but when it thinks it's ready. Maybe that's his game, to wait for Luffy to feel invincible, to wait for the world to bow to the new king before showing that darkness can smile too. And if we think in pure pirate logic, Blackbeard is not just pure ambition, his calculation. He doesn't act on impulse. Like Luffy, he doesn't launch into fights out of pride. Like Kid, he's a chess player in the middle of a dynamite board, and his moves always have more than one meaning. So maybe he looked at post-war, post-training, post-Rayleigh Luffy, and thought, it's not time yet. Because what Blackbeard wants is not just to win, it's to win and laugh afterward. It's to win and prove that darkness consumes everything, even the purest dream. And there's another side to it too. Blackbeard is not an idiot. He saw what happened at Marineford. He saw the world move because of Luffy. He saw Garp almost rise against the Marines for him. He saw Shanks appear in the middle of the war like a bolt of lightning in a clear sky just to make sure Luffy escaped. He saw Rayleigh reappear out of nowhere, not with a rusty sword, but with a sparkle in his eyes, just to guide the boy back to the path. And maybe Blackbeard understood. If I touch this boy now, I won't just fight him. I'll fight the entire past. And if we go back in time to chapter 440, when Luffy and Blackbeard first meet in Jaya, the atmosphere there already reveals everything. They feel each other's presence. Luffy says he doesn't like the guy, not knowing why. And Blackbeard, with arrogance disguised as humility, tries to seem ordinary, but his eyes light up when he talks about dreams. A man's dream never dies. His phrase, that isn't just about him, it's about the world. It's about what he sees in Luffy too. Maybe he respects that will. Maybe he even admires it. But respecting isn't a lying. Admiring isn't sparing. It's just knowing how to wait. And there's more. Luffy was never part of Blackbeard's immediate plan. At least I don't think so. Blackbeard wanted a way to rise to the top using others as a staircase. He used Ace, used the Marines, used the Shichibukai, used Impel Down, used Whitebeard. His path has always been to siphon off what others built, and Luffy was still building. He still didn't have a fleet, he still wasn't an emperor, he still hadn't destroyed Big Mom's castle, he still hadn't faced Kaido at the top, he still hadn't awakened the Nika. In other words, he still wasn't valuable enough to be plundered. If before Blackbeard avoided Luffy because he was still a promise, maybe today he avoids Luffy because he's no longer just that. Because now Luffy is one of the names that breathe at the top, and those at the top breathe less, because the air is thin and the space is small. The era changed, and it changed fast. At the end of Wano, the world received news that perhaps Blackbeard already felt coming, but never expected would arrive so soon. soon. Luffy became a Yonko. Without needing a giant fleet, without inheriting ready-made empires, without bending to politics or pretending to be an ally. He became what he became because he defeated Kaido, because he pulled down from the mountain the man the world hadn't seen fall in decades. And that changes everything. Blackbeard may have looked at that victory and wondered, since when did he get this big? Because Luffy didn't rise the way he did. Luffy rose by fighting. Blackbeard rose by waiting, negotiating, using moments as stepping stones. And now, maybe he realizes that there's someone who reached the same place, but with a different foundation. And that's dangerous. Because if your base is made of plays, lies, and tricks, and the other builds his with trust, friendship, faith, strength, and sacrifice, which one lasts longer? It's easy to say Blackbeard isn't afraid, but what is fear to someone like him? Maybe fear for Blackbeard isn't panic or hesitation, maybe it's analysis. He has seen what happens to those who underestimate Luffy's smile. Crocodile underestimated, Enel underestimated, Doflamingo underestimated, Kaido, even with everything he had, also underestimated. And they all lost because Luffy has a kind of energy that can't be measured in numbers or read in dossiers. And that might be what bothers Blackbeard the most, because he's a man of plans. And Luffy is the incarnate chaos of willpower. In chapter 1059, when Kobe is captured and we see Blackbeard acting against Amazon Lily, attacking Boa Hancock, it seems like he's still the same, seeking fruits, opportunities, using the system's gaps to strengthen himself. But even there, even at that moment of advantage, he hesitates. He stops when Rayleigh appears. He backs off, not because he's weak, but because he knows brute force isn't everything. He has that sense of limit, and that shows he thinks, that he considers, and if he considered Rayleigh a limit, what does he see in Luffy now? Luffy is no longer just the boy with the hat. He is the bearer of a name that makes the sky tremble. He is the current user of Nika, the fruit of the sun god, and Blackbeard, who knows legends, who grew up with ancient stories, who read and waited for the Yami Yami no Mi, surely must have heard of Nika. And now, the boy he met in Jaya not only masters advanced conqueror's haki, but has awakened the most unclassifiable fruit in the world. This shifts the balance, because now the light has a name, it has a form, and it dances. And Blackbeard is darkness. The Yami Yami no Mi is a fruit that not only nullifies powers, it nullifies hope. But can it nullify a god? Can it swallow a being that molds itself with imagination, that smiles while fighting, that transforms reality? As if the world were rubber? Maybe Blackbeard is asking himself that right now. Maybe he's waiting for answers. Because if he's going to face Luffy, he's going to want to know what he's up against. And at this moment, perhaps, even he is not sure. The position of Yonko is not just a title, it's a warning. It's the world saying that that pirate has enough power to rewrite the map. And Luffy did just that. He took Kaido's territory, made alliances with samurai, changed the politics of Wano, brought down 2 emperors. And unlike Blackbeard, who used the remains of Marineford, Luffy built his own era with his own blood. And here comes the most delicate part. Maybe Blackbeard is truly recalculating everything because he knows the end is approaching, because he knows the treasure is near, because he knows the world won't hold out much longer, and he wants to be whole when the final chapter opens. And for that, he needs to choose his battles. And maybe for now, he thinks it's not worth clashing with Luffy, not out of cowardice, but out of vision, because if he goes now, he might not come back, because he's seen what Luffy does to those who try to slow him down, because he knows that every time the boy loses, he comes back stronger, because he knows that Luffy's power is not the punch, it's the comeback. And maybe deep down, Blackbeard knows that this confrontation is inevitable, that at some point he will look Luffy in the eyes again, like he did in Jaya, but that day, it won't be in a bar or on a forgotten island. It will be at the heart of the world, in front of everything that remains, with history roaring between its teeth. That was today's content. We hope you liked it and want to share your opinion on the subject. Don't forget to share the video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll see you in the next video. Take care and stay amazing.